If you watched some of my other videos, you know that one of the things that sets Crete apart is its mountains. There's this huge mountain range cutting the island in two, with many sections above 2,000 meters. So if you go and visit Crete, you should take advantage of that opportunity and go and discover what Greek mountains look like, both the visual aspect of it, but also the very different culture of people living in the mountains. Because yeah, this is a little side note, but even though Greece is famous mostly for its history and its islands, one aspect of Greece that nearly all foreigners don't seem to know about is that most of Greece's mainland looks like this. Very tall and steep mountains with all sorts of super picturesque bridges and very traditional villages where food is always delicious. Where do you think feta and all the other Greek cheeses come from? From Athens? From the islands? No, it's from the mountains, from the mountain people. And so these mountain villages are hugely popular places to visit amongst Greeks. I go there nearly every year. But the issue for you as a tourist is that these mountains are kind of far from Athens. It takes some time to get there, and if you're coming to Greece for only like 1 week, 10 days, it doesn't really make sense to drive for 6 hours one way just to go and see some mountain villages. But if you go to Crete, guess what? They're right there, half an hour away from the main cities. That's why I cannot stress enough how essential it is that you go on some kind of mountain adventure when in Crete. All right, so the tour I'm about to show you is happening in this area near Chania town. So if you're staying in Chania, this tour is for you. If you're staying in Iraklio, then you should watch the video I will link at the end of this one. It's a very similar tour, but in the eastern part of Crete. All right, so they come to pick you up around 8 a.m. at your hotel in Chania. They also provide pickup anywhere in this area. So if you're staying in places like Kalives, Georgioupoli, or Refino, you can take part in this tour as well. Now, you'll be moving around with a Jeep since mountain roads in Greece are mostly unpaved. Now, the itinerary goes as follows. You start on the north coast. You cross the mountains with multiple stops on the way until you reach the south coast. There, you spend some time on the beach, you have lunch, and then you drive back. So, the first stop will be the Kournas Lake, a very deep freshwater lake with beautiful transparent water. The next stop is Argyeroupoli, a very cute mountain village where you'll be able to see the famous adiklisto, which is this technique of grilling multiple pieces of meat around one big fire. Very cool. As you continue climbing through the mountains, the views are going to get more and more scenic, and then you'll have your first food stop. It's in a teeny tiny town called Myriokephala, super cute and very traditional. You're going to taste multiple local dishes, all homemade from their own crops. You'll also have some local wine and some raki, which is the local spirit. And that family also sells all their products. So if you want to bring home some wine, olive oil, honey, or even freshly harvested mountain tea, which Greeks love so much, you can grab it all there. Now, we continue driving through the mountains and can definitely expect to bump into a few herds of sheep. There's a reason why Crete has such a deeply rooted cheese culture. There's around 4 million goats and sheep on the island, and since there's no predators on the island, there's no wolves, no bears, well, goats and sheep are having the time of their life and having lots of babies. You'll also get to see thousands and thousands of olive trees, which shouldn't surprise you since Crete is the capital of olive oil in Greece. Some vineyards as well, because Crete is a big wine producer as well. And you might even bump into a few road signs that look a little damaged. That's because Cretans love hunting, but outside of the hunting season, they get bored, and so they like to keep their aim sharp by practicing on some road signs. At this point, we've reached the peak of the mountain, so for the first time, we'll see the southern coast of Crete. This is an area with a couple of griffin vultures, which are these absolutely huge birds that prey on dead animals. Now, you can't see it in this footage, but there were actually a few vultures down there chilling in the sun. After that, it's time to start driving downhill. If you're afraid of heights, don't look through the window, I guess, because it's pretty impressive. And after a few minutes, we arrive at this beautiful beach. You have around 1 hour of free time there, so definitely bring a swimsuit for this tour, and also a towel and some flip-flops. And by the way, if you look back, those are the mountains you just crossed, and I think it's kind of cool to see where you're coming from. After swimming, it's gonna be lunchtime just next to that beach. We had a tacos salad, which is basically a Greek salad with this massive barley rusk under it. Then we had some stuffed peppers and tomatoes, and we ended with this local specialty, which is slow-cooked pork with dried figs. There's gonna be one more stop on the way back to the north, which is an olive mill, so you'll get to see all the harvesting tools and the machines that transform olives into olive oil. And then, of course, you're gonna taste all of that, both the olive oil and the actual olives. And just for you know, these black olives there on the right, those are the best olives I've ever tried. And that's because they're produced in a completely different way with an ancient technique, which for some reason got lost in time, it seems. What's this technique? Well, you harvest the olives very late, first of all, so they're overripe. Then you let them dry in the sun for a few days, and then you mix them with sea salt and nothing else for preservation. And you put them in a jar, and that's it. So there's no brine, no vinegary, pickled flavor like olives usually have. So yeah, this is a completely different product, and that's why I bought a few jars for myself. This is the last one. I'm about to finish it. Amazing stuff. And after that, well, they drop you off at your hotel, which you will reach around 5 p.m. and that's the end of the tour. Now, this tour is such a nice combination of mountain adventure, local foods, wildlife, swimming, and just overall Cretan culture. By crossing the island from the north to the south through these mountains, you get to see all the different faces of Crete in just one day. So if you're staying for not that long in Crete, this one is a must-do because it covers so much so quickly. So if you want to book this tour, you can scan this or the link down below. This will lead you to the Get Your Guide website, which is sponsoring this video. I've always been a huge Get Your Guide fan myself. That's where I'm booking all my activities when I'm abroad. This is me scuba diving in Thailand a few months ago. This is a food tour I went on in Vietnam. I just love how all activities are centralized in one place, no matter which country you're going to. You don't need to Google stuff and jump from one website to the other. Everything's there on Get Your Guide. And then, of course, there's this cancellation policy, which I love so much. You can cancel any activity up to 24 hours before it starts and get a full refund no matter why you're canceling. That's a very generous cancellation policy. So yeah, Get Your Guide. Thanks for the support. Now, what if you're staying in Iraklio for the entirety of your holidays in Crete and not Chania? Well, in that case, I recommend that tour. Very similar to the one we saw in this video, but starting out of Iraklio instead of Chania. And in case you're wondering where to stay in Crete, is it Chania? Is it Iraklio? Well, I'm answering that over here. And there you go. That's it for today. Hope you liked it. See you next one. Bye.